Yeah, if we hadn't run that other, yeah, exactly, that street.
By the way, that road is terrible.
It's horrible, yeah, but, so it needs to be fixed. But
All right, any other discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. We have struck item 20 from the agenda, and we are on item 21. Consider Resolution 19-136, accepting donation of real property from Shamrock Development. This appears to be just kind of a housekeeping issue. That's 2, 3, 4, 5 different parcels, accepting the donation of real property, accepting deeds of basically property that they couldn't build on, right, Mr. Cornelius?
That's correct, Mr. Mayor. These are largely undeveloped parcels, remnants from previous projects. So they don't really have any use for them. They have minimal value from a taxation standpoint.
And for the most part, they're guided either as conservancy or parks, so it really makes sense for the city to accept the donation.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we're looking to,
Your Honor,
thank you. Councilmember Kicker.
I make a motion that the council adopt resolution 19-136, accepting the donation of real property and accepting deeds.
Second.
Motion by Kicker, second by Demmer. Discussion?
Mayor,
Councilmember Scroviak?
the pieces that aren't conservancy or park, would they ultimately be conveyed to the adjoining property owner? Or, I mean, we wouldn't want to maintain these small little pieces of property. Would that
Mr.
be
Fernelius?
a plan, or is it?
My understanding is that these are primarily open space wetlands right now, so I don't think there is much in the way of maintenance, and they are, I believe, adjacent to some land that the city already owns, so it really makes logical sense. These are just kind of an extension of public property that already is there.
They'll be conveyed and stay with the city then?
They would stay with
Okay.
the city, that's
I
correct.
can tell you that Shamrock did convey some to, there was some other questionable ones that they didn't convey to adjoining property owners that made more sense.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Councilmember Johnson?
Just want to dovetail on that. There are a couple of these that I think make real logical sense for the city to own them, especially because they do things like provide access to Coon Creek if it's needed, or they're in a floodplain or something like that. But there are actually a couple of them that are like actual lotted off lots that are at the end of a cul-de-sac, and there are adjoining landowners on either side that frankly might benefit from, even though it might not be a buildable lot, an addition to their lot, so they would have, I don't know, extra room for a shed, extra room for a garage, whatever, on their property. And I'm wondering if the city might have plans to approach them and see if they're interested in that. Because what I don't want to do is get into a situation where, for some difficulty or practical reason, somebody has difficulty building on a particular piece of property that either they developed into that property or they own and have decided not to do it, and then they just want to bail on it. Now, you're right, these are, I looked up a couple of the tax values on these properties, and like one of them was valued at $100, and the tax amount annually was like $1.24 or something like that. So it wasn't like a big deal, but it might have real good value to a neighbor, and I wonder if we could explore that.
Councilmember Johnson, we could do that. I don't know what the procedure would be for, even though we're accepting it as a donation, it may have value to an adjacent landowner, and obviously I don't think we can convey or give away public property. So we'd have to look at what that process is, what the values are. So I think that's something we could explore at some point.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a tax value for $100, so if for $100 they want to have an addition to their property, I mean, I agree, we wouldn't give it to them.
Right.
But they may be interested, and I'd just like us to explore that, because what I don't want to do is become the repository for anything that just doesn't work out down the road. Unless there's a good reason, like access to a Coon Creek, or it is part of a conservancy program already. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept this donation from Shamrock Development. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Item 22 on this evening's agenda is to consider adoption of resolutions 19-132 and 19-133, levying appealed miscellaneous assessments 2019-2. That should be all we need to say about that, isn't it?
I will say, Mr. Mayor and Council, there were 3 people that were affirmed to pay, that did come into the city and pay, and so $2,875 will not be assessed.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor.
Councilmember Demmer?
Just a thank you to the Board of Adjustment and Appeals. That's probably, can be potentially one of the toughest boards in the city because your job is to enforce rules while people are upset that you're enforcing those rules. So much like some of the groups that have to do that, that's people who sit here at this dais and have to listen to a lot of tough stories and make good judgments. So thank you to them, and I will recommend that the council adopt resolutions 19-132 and 19-133, adopting the 2019 miscellaneous special assessments.
Second.
Motion by Demmer, second by Kicker. And absolutely concur on the Board of Adjustment and Appeals. That is a tough job. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Item 23 is to consider Resolution 19-134, formally adopting the 24 comprehensive plan. We've approved it, the Met Council has approved it, and it's back for us to finally formally adopt it. Anything you want to add to that, Mr.
Well, Mr. Mayor,
Fernelius?
I wanted to acknowledge all the work that went into this. We actually started this process 4 years ago. 2015, the Met Council issues system statements. So it's been a long process. A lot of staff, community development staff, engineering, public works have been involved in this. Communications staff created a really wonderful document. If you have a chance to take a look at it, I would definitely recommend it. I also want to acknowledge the work of the Planning Commission. They spent a lot of time on it. A few other advisory commissions also weighed in, the Parks, Recreation Commission, Sustainability. I think we even took this to the Safety Commission at one point. I know we spent a lot of time with the council. We want to thank you for your input. And then lastly, the public. We had an online survey. I forgot how many comments we got from the public. We had discussions at our Summer in the City meetings. So, you know, it's a document that a lot of people don't know much about, but it's really important, and it's a high-quality work product that I think we can all be proud of, and we're grateful to be through the process. So we're looking forward to recommending your adoption of it tonight.
Grateful to be through the process. Oh, there's just these big. Councilmember Demmer.
Quick question, any changes that the Met Council recommended that you guys made that you wanted to highlight?
Councilmember Demmer, no, there weren't any substantive changes that they made. There was some information that was missing. It was mostly technical in nature. Didn't change any policy-related considerations for the city. So for the most part, it was a clean review, which is what you want when you go through that process. So nothing significant that would have warranted any kind of follow-up discussion with the council. Everything was really consistent with what we've talked about before.
All right, well, I would also like to thank everyone involved. I mean, between the staff and the volunteers, and it's 208 pages of just, you know, riveting content that I read each night to my kids. No, it was clearly a lot of work, and it's pretty amazing to get it through all the different hoops it had to go through. So I would move adoption of Resolution 19-134, placing the 2040 Comprehensive Plan into effect.
Second.
Motion by Demmer, second by Wells. Discussion?
I actually believe he does read it to his kids.
I believe it helps put everything in the
They read it to me.
Yeah. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Item 24, consider resolution 19-137, approving the year-end budget appropriations. Mr. Stemmettle, Mr. Hanson?
Yeah, I'll take that, Mr. Mayor, Council. During this time of year, the Finance Department works with staff in estimating what they'll spend in their general fund activities through the end of 2019. And then we reappropriate the budget according to anybody who has a deficit to satisfy our administrative order and shift the budget funding around to make all of those balances positive in each category. The second part we partake in is projecting what the general fund numbers will be at the end of the year. So this year, we project our general fund numbers are going to be pretty much the same as last year. Our revenues are over expenditures of approximately 1.6 million, and last year they were like 1.7 million. If our projections hold after we account for our fund balance policy, we could potentially transfer about 1.5 million to the facility construction fund or any fund that we designate. Some of the reasons that we have this budget excess, our revenues were projected to be $627,000 over budget, pretty much the same as last year, and pretty much because of our permits and our inspection plan check fees, again, with storm damage and more permits being pulled. Personal services were projected to be about $523 under budget. Not as much as last year. They were over $50,000 last year, but this is because the police department is not seeing as many vacancies as they used to see, and so that budget is tightening up a little bit for us. On the other hand, in our professional services division with our maintenance and repairs and utilities, we're projecting to be about $643,000 under budget. And that's a lot more under budget than last year, when it was about $350,000. And that's because we're really cutting back on the need for a lot of maintenance and repairs that was budgeted. And our IT came in under budget also this year. And of course, it's kind of a shot in the dark sometimes for fuel. And so we never want to get caught if there's a gas price increase. So, you know, this year it happens that fuel did not increase, and so we have a surplus budget there too.
All right, thank you.
Your Honor,
Councilmember Wells.
move to adopt resolution number 19-137, reappropriating funds within the 2019 general fund budget and amending the 2019 and 2020 budgets.
Second.
Motion by Wells, second by Johnson. Discussion?
Mayor,
Councilmember, Council,
just wait for me there, wait.
Waiting for that one.
Councilmember Griscoviac.
This seems like a pretty significant surplus this year. A couple of things, I mean, we never want to get caught by paying too much for fuel or things like that, but I think our fund balance reserve actually covers that type of scenario. And other cities, one comes to mind, Farmington, they used their surplus, their end-of-the-year surplus, to actually lower the next year's levy. And I'm wondering, instead of moving all this into facilities construction fund, I know our budget's set for this year, but is that a conversation that we can have as a council and staff in future years? Because, I mean, this is a budget surplus. We essentially tax too much. I think we should either lower the levy or do something else to that effect. So that's a conversation I'd like to have.
I love that you said for future years, because I thought,
Oh, no.
ooh, we could be here quite a while this evening. Mr. Stemwedel?
Mayor, Council, yes, we've already sent in our certifications for 2020. So
Right, I know that, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
But all joking aside, certainly, you know, a good time to have a conversation would be in the spring as we're starting to anticipate the 2021 budget. You know, there are certainly pros and cons to that approach. One thing we've attempted through this method is by placing some of those dollars in facility construction, we're essentially not taxing for some of the facilities needs that we have over time. For example, the roof, we have $1 million project next year. We've talked a little bit about the facilities needs over the next 10 years, and so that pot of money would be sort of the first place to go to. And so I think what we need to do is tie in sort of the long-range projection of how these funds will get used versus whether or not you'd want to do something like that, which would certainly be an option. We would do for the 2019 budget, we would do the sweep into the facilities construction fund sometime in April. Again, that's just kind of affecting this year. And so we'd really want to understand how council's feelings are about that for the 2021 budget, so we can start that conversation early, because obviously the later we get into the year, the more difficult it becomes.
And don't get me wrong, I applaud the city staff and everyone for handling this in a fiscally responsible way with a surplus like this. But I'm just wondering, when we take $1.2 million, or if it's $1.7 million, I don't recall the total numbers after the shortfalls there. It goes into facilities construction fund, but we've already set our budgets for 2020 in the facilities construction fund. So that money is going in there unbudgeted for. And so that's something that I think as a council, we should take into consideration. And I have a feeling we probably anticipated this surplus before we finalized the levy, so we could have actually maybe potentially lowered the levy even more so than we did. So appreciate everyone's open-mindedness on that we can take a look at those conversations early next spring and into the 2021 budget season.
Your Honor.
Councilmember Demmer?
Yeah, I think a really good thing to do at some work session in the future would be to sort of come to us with what you think a good floating, budget is for the construction fund. Because obviously if we have a really, really tough year, that's gonna go down. And if we, fuel costs are low, it goes up. Fuel costs are high, it goes down. If you have that target in mind and we're way above it, then yeah, absolutely, we should consider, that it's too high. If you have a number in mind that kind of matches the rolling amount we spend and we're at it, then it's a different conversation. So I don't think Councilmember Skroviak is asking for we give it all back. I think it's more of we appreciate that rather than having the tax rate go up and down in the year we happen to replace the roof, that you've got a nice buffer there. But we imagine you probably have something in mind for what the level of that buffer should be, and just letting us know if we've way overshot it helps us know that we could use that opportunity to give something back.
Mayor, Council, I think we could provide some of that analysis, just projecting out approximately, similar to what we would do for any of our capital funds. We need a certain amount of revenue over that period of time to kind of smooth out the bumps in the road. We want to apply a similar approach to the facilities plan. We've started that with the facilities analysis that was completed last year. We're going to be working on that 10-year capital plan. And then to that point, if, let's just say, for example, you needed $750,000 or $1 million a year to sort of smooth that out, anything in excess of that million you could potentially use for a different purpose. But those are all things that we can bring to you at a later date.
Good. All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second at this point on item 24. I guess that's up to me then. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, and that motion carries. Not sure what I was waiting for.
Third.
All right, item 25 is to consider resolution 19-138, approving the 2020 compensation plan for unrepresented employees. Mr. Stemwittle, or is there anything else on this? This is the last contract, right?
In essence, yes, it's the last sort of pay decision for employees here at the city. We finalized 4 contracts last year that carried through 2020. And so we always anticipate after the budget's improved, the unrepresented pay plan, so all non-union employees. And in this case, we're matching the wage increase that was provided for in contract for all 4 of those unions to the non-represented group. So that's what you see before you today.
All right. Excellent. Have any questions?
Your Honor?
Councilmember Kicker?
So with the 3% increase in wage, does that affect the steps, the value of the steps within each of the 24 grades? So does everything, when you look at grade A and it's whatever, $18 in some sense, that's step one, is that gonna go up 3%? Is that how it works essentially? So everybody's salary will go up 3%, but those steps will also go up 3%? Is that,
Mayor and council, so yes, our wage scale is elevated by 3%. And so if, for example, you were a grade A, step 2, whatever that number is, come January 1st, would inflate 3%.
3%?
Yes. And that applies to all the steps and grades within our pay plan for the non-represented.
Okay.
Your Honor,
Councilmember Johnson?
I'd move adoption of Resolution 19-138, establishing the 2020 compensation plan for unrepresented employees as articulated in the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Wells. Discussion?
Mayor?
Councilmember Griscoviac?
Last week, we had a resident talk about their levy and the impact and the increase in how we're spending. This is just emphasizing the fact that a large portion of our levy increase every year is for cost of living and for these adjustments that are made. A 3% adjustment across the board is significant because we have so many employees with the city. I think in 2021, I mean, the economy is good right now, and we have to attract the right kind of people to run our city. But I did talk with the city staff today, Matt and the manager, that I'd like to take a look at some of the scales that we have right now, make sure that they're in line with other communities. And just as we move into the process of the union negotiations for 2021, I'd like to kind of see all this put together a little bit ahead of time. And it just seems that a 3% wage increase on top of all the other benefits maybe just isn't sustainable in the long term. And I know it's not always 3%. I mean, there's been years where it's 1%. I don't know if it's ever been 0. But those are discussions, again, too, that I'd like to see early in 2020.
All right. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Item 26 is to consider Resolution 19-146, establishing Bunker Hills Golf Course fees and charges. Mr. Anderson, anything you want to give us, hit the highlights of here?
Mayor, Council, yes, thank you. It's always a fun thing to come and talk about fees for next year. At Bunker Hills, our favorite golf season is always going to be the next one because there's always an opportunity. And through pricing, we see a big opportunity in introducing a midday rate. So that's the big change. You see there no rate increases, but the market does dictate us looking at the midday. It's an area, or it's a time frame where we see a great reduction in the amount of golfers out there playing. And our rates that we had, our rack rates as we'd call them, were not aligned with the marketplace. So those midday rates are a reduction, and it allows us to really focus on quantity, bringing golfers in at a very attractive rate, as opposed to raising rates. So rates stay the same across the board, recommended rates stay the same across the board, but introducing these midday rates 11 to 4 every day of the week is something we're really excited to get out to the marketplace and promote widely.
All right. Very good. Any questions of Mr. Anderson?
I love that some of these are $9 or $18. Like, you can play $1 a hole if you're a senior patron.
Yeah, that's the big one. And I think that's going to be the biggest add for us, is it drops that midday rate significantly down for our senior patron card holders. And if you look back, 10 or 12 years ago, we sold approximately 400 senior patron cards. We sold just under 1,000 senior patron cards this year.
That's awesome.
So that's a huge opportunity for us, and it's a great opportunity for seniors in the community to come up and enjoy Bunker Hills.
And I should mention the juniors as well, are
Yes.
$1 a hole. Great. In that case, I would like to move to adopt Resolution 19-146, establishing Bunker Hills Golf Course fees and charges.
Second?
Motion by Demmer, second by Kicker. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Is anybody here to address council for open mic this evening? You're it, Sue. You don't want to talk to us? All right, we'll move past the open mic portion, and we have one report on a previous open mic. And That was, and he's received this letter, right?
Mr. Mayor, yes, it was mailed to him.
Okay. Mr.
And
Stemwell?
I'll also mention, Mayor and Council, I did speak with Mr. Pentilla last week about this topic. So we had a good conversation about what would be coming in the letter and what the situation was, so.
Okay, okay. I don't know that I feel a need to read the letter this evening. It's on here if anybody's curious, but it's pretty much just kind of a one of, it doesn't really affect the rest of the community, it's kind of his deal. All right, other business.
Pepper.
Chief Piper.
Mayor, Council, this morning, Senator John Hoffman contacted me and invited the fire department to participate in the 9th annual Tiny Tots Toy Drive. The purpose of the drive is to collect presents and then distribute them at Mercy Hospital for kids that are hospitalized over Christmas time. With that said, this coming Saturday from 11 to 1 at Buena Sera over there on the River Road in Champlin, 11 to 1 is an open house, and basically you bring a present there, and the owner slash chef, Raphael, is providing a pasta lunch with all the fixins, so it's really kind of a nice deal. And then after that's done, then all the presents get loaded into one of our fire trucks, and we drive from Buena Sera up to Mercy Hospital and then take all the presents into the hospital. So it's really a nice thing. So again, this Saturday, I believe that's the 21st, from 11 to 1 at Buena Sera in Champlin on the River Road.
Does he know there are over 60,000 people in the city of Coon Rapids that could potentially show up there?
It could be busy. It could be busy.
River to protect them.
We've participated in this in the past, and it's a great deal where the presents are there for the kids that are in over Christmas, and then also there's presents left over for kids come during the year, either into the ER or other areas or whatever, they can get a present, so it's really a nice deal.
All right, thank you, Chief. Mr. Hammer, I hesitate to ask, but I'm feeling pretty good about this from a couple of the other things I've heard independently. Hanson Overpass.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Council, we are in the week of the 16th, which we said the roadway will be open this week. We're waiting to get final confirmation on exactly what that time will be. CTN is very interested to get over there and see those vehicles go over. It'll be updated in the newsletter. I don't have, is it tomorrow or Friday? I just know it will be this week.
Can we do a countdown on our website or something like that?
So I happen to have heard that Epiphany is hosting all of the workers over there for lunch on Friday. So something tells me that bridge will be open before lunch. So that's my prediction.
It could be a dinner.
Oh, maybe they'll kick it back to dinner. All right. Other business to come before council.
Mayor?
Councilmember Griscoviac?
I was going to ask about the bridge, so thanks for bringing that up. But no, the last meeting of the year for us in 2019, so I just wanted to say to the council, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to the staff, to the council, to our residents. It's been a great year in 2019. I am honored to serve on the council, so there you go.
All right.
I echo that. Happy holidays and a happy new year.
Mr. Anderson, anything going on at the golf course over the holidays?
Well, there's always something going on at the golf course, right? What's been fun about the last couple of weeks, and it always is this time of year, is all of the company and association holiday celebrations at the golf course. So there's a lot of that going on. The clubhouse is decorated for the holidays. A lot of folks coming up with their coworkers for lunch and dinner. So, we're kind of looking forward, not that we're not enjoying December, but we're looking forward to what occurred today with the rates moving into next year, introducing that to our customers, getting the word out, and just proceeding on into the next season. So it's going to be really exciting.
All right. Very good. Any other business to come before council this evening? Mr. Stemwedel.
In relation to that, I did want to mention, one of the activities that is going up there is there's sort of always an annual event in the event center, and this year it's snowed in, the holiday celebration of song, which is running from December 21st to the 23rd, and then the 27th through the 30th. And tickets are available at kendallstc.com. So if you visit our website, you can get over to the Kendall site and check out tickets are available for that show.
Do we know, Miss Coon Rapids, who became Miss Minnesota, is competing right now in Connecticut for Miss America. And I know that she did her talent last night, and it was very well received. She was amazing. But I'm just curious, I know that the contest will be, the main event will be 7 PM Eastern, I think it is, Thursday night. So I think you can find it streaming online, NBC affiliates. But wish Catherine Kippers all the best out there.
Good year for national exposure for Coon Rapids.
It is. And then all we have left today is to wish Councilmember Wells a happy birthday, I believe.
Second.
$2 or the $5?
All right, well, if we have no other business to come before us.
Move to adjourn.
Yeah, there you go. Second.
Motion by Wells, second by Johnson to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.